Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is James or Team Stratosphere, and today I want to talk about a new theory for Season 10/X/1.0, because what I have a feeling that's going to happen isn't a time jump back to, the very first map, because personally I feel like that would be a very cheap thing for Fortnite to do, considering we've just had one of the best animated over-the-top CGI things in the game with the monster versus mech fight. I think where we're going next is a multiverse slash time cracked map, and I'll explain this in a way. We had season 1 through 2 where we had the comet showing up, and season 3 the comet finally landed. And then we had the visitor show up, and then through season 4 we had the rift. After he ran up, he did not run. This is not going to be edited because it is currently 22 in the morning and I'm very tired, but this is something I need to get off my head while I'm thinking about it. If you also want to comment down below, give me any ideas on what you think might also happen. I think it would be a lot of, good to do for the community. But if anyone also wants to take this and put my ramblings into some form of edited version, go for it. You have my complete consent. Just make sure that at me, tweet me, drop the link to the OG video and send people to me. That's the only thing I request. But back into it. So the visitor showed up and used the rocket to create the rift. And then the rift then condensed itself down into Kevin, and Kevin made its way to the lake, went into the lake, expanded, came back, floated, blew up the middle house, then dropped the random droplet into the center, which is now the vault, and the cube then exploded, taking us to the random white in-between dimensions kind of pocket thing. I'll explain why I feel that way in a second. And then we had the vault event where we saw the condensed droplet now in an orb shape, and then singularity. I feel like it's called singularity. She then came, harnessed that power, then we had the mech fight where they had to take the orb, and now it is cracking due to the fact that the power has been absorbed into the mech and it was crushed very slightly. And it was also a big thing for the monster to try and get a hold of, which I don't know if that's relevant, but mech got it, they won, huzzah, the sword now skewered the monster. But here's my personal theory. What I feel happened was when the visitor took off in the rocket and he went up into the rift, I don't feel like he jumped anywhere. Because whenever we rift, it only takes us up and then drops us back down at a couple seconds later, and these are only tiny rifts. What I feel is the visitor went up in the rocket, created the rift, and the rift then condensed down into Kevin, closing the visitor in Kevin. And as we all saw, the visitor was clearly from the future and had to harness a brand new source of power, which were the hop rocks that came from the meteor. And what I feel happened is that Kevin made his way. He then exploded into the multiverse, dropping what might have been still a pocket mini dimension into the vault, which then, over time, expanded and became the massive orb that it is now. Also known as, I believe, it's either the singularity or it's some other thing. Like I said, I'm not 100% certain on what all the names are for certain things, but a name for this specific thing has popped up out of nowhere, and it's leading people to believe that it is, again, connected with the visitor. I mean, at this point, we don't need any if, ands, or buts, because the symbols from the visitor have now popped up. What I feel is going to happen is when this rift slash pocket power thing finally blows up, I feel like it's going to erupt, but it's not going to be a time explosion. It's going to be a minor multiverse explosion. Personally, I think this due to the fact that we've had a new teaser release today where we have Drift reappearing. However, the Drift mask is slightly rounded off, more like a cat. And I feel what they're going to do is they're going to rehash all the old seasons into this season, having an extended battle pass, and if you're OG, you have the OG Black Knight, you have the OG Drift, you have OG Ragnarok, you have OG Vendetta. And what they're going to do is they're going to release this pocket multi-dimension thing where, personally, because this Drift looks different, I have a feeling they're going to release a female Drift variant. And what this means is, when the orb finally explodes, I have a feeling that since it's down the fault line of Fortnite with the two streams leading from Loot Lake to the edges of the map, it may crack the map. This is something I actually really like the thought of, like for the map to crack literally in two. But what I think is going to happen is they're going to expand the map completely. In which point you can have, since it's a multiverse, when it explodes, it has parts of different land masses. Or if it is a time explosion, it doesn't take us back to Season 1. It brings things from Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 into Season 10. expanding the map. So we'll have Dusty Divot next to OG Dusty Depot. We'll have Lazy Links next to Lazy Lagoon. We'll have the mountain / volcano and Sunny Steps up above Wailing Woods. And I have a feeling that this is going to be a really, really cool idea, because if Fortnite rehash back to the first map, this is going to have huge, huge implications for less loot, less areas of interest. It's going to be a relatively all-around more boring map. And like I've said before, it's kind of a really cheap thing for them to do. While I feel like they're going to be giving us these extra points of interest that we all wanted back, I feel like they're going to be re-implementing them into the map by this orb exploding. So it's either a time or a multiverse fissure, because my multiverse idea is due to the fact when the Kevin cube exploded, we went to this weird white floating place where the butterfly came in, the rift butterfly came in and released us back to where we needed to be. We had a mini time jump at that point. When it exploded, we came back to when Kevin had exploded. The full explosion had finished. No one took any damage. But when we were floating around in that area, we had all these little clouded areas sort of floating around us in just like a sort of closed off area, and then a central point which everything fell back into when we went back into the original universe. And I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen. All these different times or universes are going to collapse in and explode out through the orb. And it makes sense that why the orb has so much power. If it's literally combined universes, then there's going to be a lot of power there. So that's my personal theory. Like I said before, if anyone has any ideas or any little rehashes to it, go ahead, comment below. Hit that subscribe button if you want to follow. We are also live on Twitter. I'm sorry that this is the only screen I have, because my camera's only a 1080p, so it kind of looks stretched out. But if you guys do like the idea of a multiverse / time explosion, give me a heads up and comment down below. I would love to have a little debate with people about where we might go. I'm not saying argument, a little debate. Just like, this theory is like good theory because blank. Your theory's good, but this could happen because blank. Right now we're in a limbo state where we're getting all the information, but we're not getting any information. So that's my personal idea on Season X /10 /1.0. Because the original Season 10 was, people were thinking it was going to be Season 1.0. That might be a thing, but if they're going to call it that, they're going to have to release the game from early access, and that is not something I think Fortnite are going to do anytime soon, because it's a constantly evolving world map game, so they have no need to release it from early access. So personally, that's my idea. Female Drift, the White Pocket universe, Kevin, the Cube, the Visitor, and everything coming back in. Personally, I hope that everyone likes this theory, and if not, that's absolutely fine. Other than that, guys, I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to hit that follow button, like button, subscribe button, and the bell if you ever want to be notified on anything we do. So, in other words, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day, evening, afternoon, or sleep, depending on where you are in the world. This is James for Team Stratosphere, signing off. Bye! That's a thing I do now.